उड़ जा काले कावा मैं उत्थे दिल छोड़ा ओ घर आजा परदेसी. Oh my god, I am so conflicted with this film. It's the brain versus the heart, guilty pleasure versus critical analysis. After having watched the film, I get it. Why it's working for the masses, why it's a box office tsunami. So let's break it down. Hello guys, I'm Nona and today we're talking about the latest Hindi film, which is a sequel to the cult classic Gadar Ek Prem Katha. Gadar 2, the Katha continues. Now, I saw the film late, almost 6 days late, and I think when you do that, you get a different perspective of the film. Why? Because you're already familiar with what's happening with the film. What are different people saying? How well it's doing at the box office? You get a context about the film, and that's what you go in with. And for me, I had expectations, but after watching the trailer, I had zero expectations. I understood what they are trying to go for, and I was personally not a fan of that. Hearing about the film that was cringe, too long, too over the top, no logic, etc. That was my expectation going in. And honestly, after watching the film, I felt it's not that bad. Okay, it is bad, but not that bad as others were claiming. See, it's very obvious the film is a star vehicle. It is a nostalgia trip. That's the biggest factor. And it carries that sentiment against our neighbors, which is very easy to make money. So first, quickly, let's talk about the good in the film. Definitely the music. उड़ जा काले कावा तेरे मुंह विच खंड पावा एक मोड़ आया मैं उत्थे दिल छोड़ आया ओ घर आजा परदेसी कि तेरी मेरी एक जिंदगी. The original songs, watching in the theater, the audience singing with it. I got goosebumps twice in the whole film, and both time one of the original music was playing. And even the new songs added are good. The next thing is Sunny Deol, Sunny Paji. He still has it. When he's on the screen, you cannot look away. Like many people, I have grown up watching his films. He carries his own style. And watching the film, when he enters, the celebration, like I went on the 6th day, and you mostly get a very quiet audience. And it was quiet, but when Sunny Paji was on screen, they were screaming, cheering, clapping, whistling. The film has given him really good moments. That's a draw for most of the people watching the film. And personally, I'm not a big fan of Sunny Deol or big fan of Gadar 1 is like the classic I always go back to. No, I've seen it multiple times showing up. It is a classic. It has those classic moments, iconic. But it's about revisiting that in a theater full of people, and we all like nostalgia together. That's the experience it gives, and that's what people crave. Now in writing, I actually like the story beats it went with. The way it connects with the first film and continues the katha. The setup of the villain was really interesting. I actually have a personal narrative for Gadar 2, and I'll talk about it at the end of the video, so do stay tuned till then. And if you notice, this film follows the same story structure as the first film. First half, someone from the family goes to Pakistan, and the second half, Sunny Deol has to bring them back. I felt Utkarsh Sharma, who played the son Jeete, he was fine. He is kind of a co-lead in the film, and a lot of people were betrayed that we want a Sunny Paji film, not his film. And those scenes with just him do drag. But by the end, you accept him as Jeete, and he does a fine job. And that was everything good. Now let's come to bad or flaws or issues, whatever you want to call it. The first thing, I feel the treatment, the filmmaking is very outdated, which I think works for the film. But it is a step back to the level of filmmaking today we expect. The way some scenes are shot, they're executed. Certain scenes and characters which are really out of taste. I don't think at any point the film is pushing ahead. The editing is very jarring at moments, especially in the action scenes. I would say comparatively, the flow is better in the first half than the second half. Because in the second half, there are so many fades to black, like you don't know how to go to the next scene. And at so many points, feels like the film is just jumping up. And there are so many characters which are not introduced. Who are they? I don't know. But just they are there with our heroes. We don't even know their name. They later die, and I'm like, what? Like there's no explanation to so many things. A character from going to college suddenly becomes a spy. Then there's that nostalgia trap, which again works for the film actually. But I feel it's a very cheap trick to make your film work. Constantly cutting back to visuals from the first film, using those visuals to make us care for the characters in this film. And it tells you the film is constantly relying on the nostalgia of the first film instead of building up something to take it forward. The ending of the film I felt was a little underwhelming. Now there were some questionable and problematic things in the films. There were moments where the audience were cheering and clapping, and I felt very uncomfortable that this is not something I want to cheer and clap about. And I feel if any movie is trying to induce hate for someone or community or whatever. I don't find that okay. And this film set in a time where a war was coming, and in that aspect it shows that. But there are also moments in the film where it's showing there are good people also on the other side, but their whole army, all generals, everyone's just evil. They have nothing else to do than destroy India. That's the only portrayal we get in the film. So there's total lack of nuance and a very one-side depiction, and that in turn helps the film. It's a very easy way to make the audience root for the hero and just hate the villains, and I'm not fan of easy ways. Now coming to Ameesha Patel, I'm sorry, I don't want to body shame or comment on her physical body, but throughout the film I couldn't tell if she's laughing or crying because her face emoted the same in a sense. Like, do you get me? Like, it felt awkward. It felt like she's playing a spoof of a character from the first one, and there's constantly running away and that not great dialogues. It doesn't look like she has aged at all. Whenever she was on screen I was like, oh, okay. I think the issue is a mix of both the writing for the character and the performance. See, Gadar 1 was made with conviction. It was a Prem Katha set in the backdrop of partition. It is basically Romeo and Juliet, but with a different twist. And the film also came out at the time when we had just come out of a war against the neighbors. So the people had an anger within them. And watching this film helped them release it. And isn't that what cinema does? Help us with our emotions, make us feel different things. As it is said, art can give you satisfaction, and that film did that, and it ended with a message of harmony. So here is my idea for Gadar 2. I wanted it to get into the trauma of partition. We see it happen in the first film. Now it has been 20 years, but the trauma stays. Till today, there are people who are still affected by partition. It just doesn't leave you. And actually, this film kind of has those hints, but not fleshed out, or we never go into that. So I wanted to see Tara Singh haunted by this. To see both sides are still struggling with it. It's not over. It started many years ago, it ended there, but the pain still continues. And it's just a vicious cycle. That's actually the kind of villain we get. There's no end to it. And I wanted to see, Tara Singh old. People are questioning him. Does he still have that energy? Does he still have that, strength to fight it back? And we would see later in the film that he's pushing hard. Treatment similar to maybe a Top Gun Maverick or a Logan. That just gives your character so much layer, so much depth. That would have been a way to update your narrative. To push ahead with your filmmaking. But what this film does is sees what has worked in the first one and just add more heroism, more shouting, just over the top action. And the film is making money. But is that the right way forward? I don't know. But in this video, I talked about a film which really takes it forward. Oh my god, 2 review. Definitely check it out. I talked about the biggest irony about it. What are your thoughts? Let me in the comments below. If you like this, the thumbs up button, share this, and I'll see you next time.